Hello and welcome to another Hive-Free celebration. And this time it's with Lucy. Lucy, why don't you introduce yourself? I'm so happy that you agreed to doing this testimonial with me.
Hi, Miren. Hi, everybody. I'm 35 years old. I'm French. I live in Germany. I have two very little children, and I had been struggling with hives since I was 10 years old.
Wow, that's an incredible amount of time. So that's 25 years. Okay, so there were some things in your story that I really wanted you to share with people. And so that's why I think your story can help so many people who might be struggling with, for instance, an autoimmune disease, because you were struggling with a number of diagnoses before you came to me. So can you describe a little bit about where you were? What were the things going on in your life that you were struggling with? Apart maybe, and maybe if you want to just describe where the level of hives were.
So the chronic urticaria was diagnosed when I was 10, 11, and the first hive wave lasted for 10 years long. And then when I was 24, I got two others autoimmune diagnosis. This was Graves' disease, hyperfunction from the thyroid, and gastritis, which is you cannot really digest or absorb certain foods really well. So one of the consequences is that I get injections of vitamin B12 regularly because I just can't
Digest animal proteins well. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I was very used to
Medications. What were medications were you on at the time that we were working together? Or before we started working together?
right before we started working together. The hives had just started again, really strong. So I took many antihistamines, and the next step would have to be to make solar injections again. I did it once before, 5 years earlier, and it's worked. But at the same time, the others autoimmune diseases, they all work together. The hives did go better, but we also treated the thyroid. So I never really managed to
To get onto the website.
to sort it out. Yeah. And I would go for the three autoimmune diseases to separate specialist doctors. And they would say, yeah, it's something you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. There's nothing we can do about it really. But it's not so bad. And yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. You were on quite a few meds, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, you were also struggling with sleep. So you were doing quite a lot of sleep medications to help you go to sleep.
Yeah. Sleep became a really big issue when I started working. And it has to do with stress regulation. It was a really big issue. And so quite a poor quality of life. And also I was struggling, like really taking proper care of my children because these are all diseases. It's, you don't die, but you don't live really properly either. So it's something in between. And yeah. And right before we started working together, I went to a Mutterkindkur. It's something that in Germany they send parents to, or mothers or fathers, or with or without the children. And at this place, and I ended up there because of the sleep issues. And that place, it was the very first time I did some kind of psychological work. And it took about 5 minutes and it changed everything. And yeah, stuff from my childhood that would really interfere with my being. And yeah.
So there were a number of things you were working on before you even started working with me. So what was it that made you decide to want to work with me?
The other two autoimmune diagnoses, it's something the symptoms were manageable, but the hives, it's something different. Like really, I grew up with them. I had it from 10 to 20 years old. So when you really develop your personality, I was really used to don't know how I would look like when I wake up, to scratch myself all day. I went to the hospital several times. I couldn't breathe at some point, and so I ran and I had an emergency pen in my bag
Pen, yep.
that I would explain my friends when we would go out to the school, or if I just don't breathe yet. I never needed it, but I took like huge off because the antihistamines wouldn't work. I took a lot of cortisone, but like really a lot, so much I did overdose, had to go to the hospital because of this. The density of my bones are something gone really bad, like elderly women like this, like not anyway. So the hives, then they came afterwards. They came at very specific times in my life again. But it's so loaded, like it's such been a long journey with the hives that it really, I was quite desperate. I was like, yeah. And in the end, yeah, applied for an appointment with a dermatologist I thought, okay, and Xolair is the only way. And they were, even to get an appointment then it would take like over half a year. And I was just like, I
don't have that time. Yeah.
With the hives several times a day, it's not alive. I would just like leave the children with my husband, go in my room to itch myself because I just couldn't function.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I don't know, my husband found you on Facebook or find some group on Facebook, and
the rest is history. Okay, so you had been struggling with a number of things. I remember in one of our sessions where I could see the penny dropping, like there were things that were just clicking and clicking. Because I think that was even our very first session where I did the personalized health assessment. And in that is where I get you to list everything that's happened in your entire life and all your symptoms and all the medications and everything that you've been on. And I put it together and we sit down and we discuss it. And there were a couple of things on your timeline that were major aha moments that I tied together for you. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about those aha moments? What were the major things that felt for you? Oh my goodness. That's why I've been struggling since I was 10 years old.
Yeah. When I was 10 years old, I got a tonsillectomy. So the tonsil were removed. And when I was 12 years old, the gallbladder got removed. And basically this time-like work with you was really good. You were really the first one to put the stuff together. So for other grown-ups, it might sound like, but since I was born into being with the hives, and I started my hives journey, I was with my parents. So it's not something I really was in charge. It was like, so I never really questioned it. I've been told several times, yeah, it's not something you're going to die from. So it's not a real big issue. And all the GPs, or they don't even know what it is. Like they say eczema, or nobody just, it's not well known. Let's put it like this. It's really, and I don't know. What was the question?
Yeah, no, I think it was the timeline, the factors on your timeline. And those two events were super, super important. And I think especially the gallbladder one. And yes, you started with the hives when you were 10. There was, what I was saying to you then is obviously there was something going on with the immune system, but instead of trying to understand why is your immune system struggling so much, they just took out one of your biggest defenses, which was your tonsils. So it opened a gate for more infections or for your body to become more prone. And then further 2 years down the line, you had your gallbladder removed, which I explained to you as well, is the gallbladder has a function to help us digest fats as well as to even have an antimicrobial effect in the gut. And I think so many people don't understand that when you start messing with things that are involved in the gut and removing something that helps keep microbial balance in the gut, that you're going to end up with immune system issues, which is why a number of years later you developed an autoimmune disease, not just one, but two, and then hives again, which would have turned into the third. You could have almost said that your urticaria was autoimmune as well.
That's
So
what I've been told.
yeah,
No, and and idiopathic. This
idiopathic, yeah.
and this your way on looking at things. It just started making sense because it's really what I missed. Like I would go to separate people. They would when I would talk about the other issues, they would just like it's not my business. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
And they would just all put an extra medication and that's it. And nobody would care that I was, I don't know, struggling or quite young or they was like, oh yes, it's not common, but
And it's such a pity. Okay, so we started working, I think, in around about March, and I think we finished working July. Our last chat, because we were touching base, was probably August, September. But I think you were Hive-Free by June, July. Where are you now? Tell me where you are, and with all those 3 autoimmune diagnoses, etc. How many medications are you still on?
it's a different life. No medication.
No medication.
The B12 injection.
12 injections. Okay.
I'm still there, but I'm controlling it very regularly to see if I really still need it. I'm still hoping that maybe it is going to take longer, but yeah, no medication, natural sleep, good
Wow.
life.
Yeah. Good. Okay. What was the main thing, takeaways, let's say, and how you see how I work differently to most doctors? So, what would you say to people there? Like, how am I different from the other options out there?
You look at the big picture, and my biggest takeaway would be the relationship I have with my body now, because one of the first things you said was trust your body's ability to heal. And it was really something I never heard before. I always felt, okay, I'm Lucy and this is my body, which is not really functioning, and I'm going to grab it. I'm living my life and it's going to have to follow. And it's really different now because I have some understanding, and we did a lot also of emotional regulation work and how to, let's say the big picture, taking care of everything. And now I really feel like one with my body and it's not like an enemy anymore. Yeah, but it's really different because my husband and I adopted our children. It's not, and one of the reasons for us adopting the children was my health. And it's nothing I regret. I wouldn't change this ever. However, it's also because I've been told from doctors, I have letters in my early 20s and they say, oh, don't ever get pregnant, or don't get pregnant without telling me, or it's not impossible. It's going to be complicated. And all the time, like when you struggling with the health all the time as a child and as a young person, it's really something. I have a different relationship with my body now, and I'm really glad for this.
Yeah, what I'm really hearing is that in the beginning, you didn't feel like you had any control over where this was going. You had the option to go to a doctor and get a medication, and that was about it. That's all that you really felt like you could do. And then after working with me, it sounds like you now feel so much more in control of your health and how to maintain the health that we've achieved now in the last few months of working together. And that if you run into, say, a roadblock or something that you are not 100% sure, that there is still a natural solution that you can find to address it, probably.
Absolutely. The work with you is really, for me, it was really empowering, like to learn how to feel what's going on in my body, and how I can address this. And it's day and night, really. Yeah, because when I was a child, they also talked about histamine, and we got like a huge list. But at the same time, they said, yeah, nutrition, yeah, you can't really do something. Anyway, like the list is way too long. It's you cannot live like this. And the only thing I remember from this was, yeah, if you have hives, maybe don't eat strawberries and not too much cheese. And that's all. That was all for nutrition, about all the time, nothing more. And yeah, and when we started working together, I was still, well, eating pretty much nothing, like many other people.
Yeah.
And apart from making me frustrated and tired, it didn't really affect the hives significantly. It was just
So tell me, were you able to eat strawberries in summer?
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things is I don't want my clients to ever be afraid of histamine. That's not a life, I think. And it's not the problem. We uncovered the problem for you. And so I know that the journey when we started working, you felt a little bit overwhelmed by all the information about all the things that you may need to implement and start changing. And I think a lot of people are afraid of this mountain that might come at them and say, oh, now you got to do all of this. What would you say to people that might be listening to this about any prospective changes that might be coming their way when they're thinking of working with me?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. However, the Mireille is really supportive, like and reactive, like you always answer, always, and very quick. And documentation I got from you, it was easy to understand. It was beautiful. It was organized. So it's really good documentation to start working with, and it's manageable.
And you
And
had two little ones. Yeah.
yeah. And if I know that if I had a question, like if there is something I wanted to go further with, you were always able to explain it to me if I asked for. But you would not do explanation about everything. That would just it would have been too much. But for me, I felt safe because I felt okay. It's pre-digested. But if there's something I want to know, she is able to explain it. It's really a support. And yeah, I
Healing's not a race. And that's the one thing. And when you said to me, these changes are all new for me and said I might take longer. And I said, that's okay. We take as long as your body needs and as long as you need to practice that to find out what your body actually needs to heal. And so we took our time. But look where we got you after 25 years of struggling with diagnoses that you had no idea that you could do anything about. You're now completely off medication.
yeah, I'm super excited to see what the next years are going to bring. But I'm in a different place now, and I'm really thankful. And yeah, to be honest, I started working with you only because of the hives, and I
have no
wasn't
idea about the others. Yeah.
and I wasn't even sure. Like you said, yeah, we can do something for the hives, and I was like, okay, we'll see. Yeah, that's the first one, but we'll give it a go.
It's not good.
And I ended up having no hives plus. So it's I would just encourage
I'm
people.
pleased that you actually, because I know it wasn't easy for you to come onto the video with English not being your first language and you not being comfortable on video. So I'm really grateful that you came on to share your story because I know that these stories are so meaningful for those who end up watching them and feeling the hope. Because for somebody who had been struggling for 25 years with hives, and then it's clear that you would have been skeptical that we could do anything about them. Yeah.
No,
Any messages you have for somebody that's watching and feeling skeptical?
no, I'm happy I trusted you, and I'm sure many people can benefit to work with you, for you. I did it for my children because I thought, okay, it's not fair to them if I'm just like, if I have so little energy. And it doesn't matter your why. Just you don't have to live like some stuff can get better. It's worth working on that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time. As I say, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you because you were open to learning and really, yeah, ready to just go with the flow and take it as it comes. And so thank you for trusting the process and congratulations. You deserve to celebrate.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Can I just say one last thing?
Absolutely.
Because really, it was the first time I worked with somebody who's not a doctor. Like I've been raised in a very different setting. My grandma is a surgeon, so it's really a new world for me. And when we started working together, I got diagnosed with H. pylori. So I was told to take a lot of.
Antibiotics.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you very much. And I ended up not taking them and going another way, which, long story short, it worked out. And this was really like, for me, it was really being brave to do something like this. But it showed me, okay, there are several ways, and I'm happy I found mine for this year. Everything's changing, but what feels good is.
I'm really grateful that you raised that because I think it is something that as a non-doctor, I'm always cognizant that people do value the opinions of their doctors naturally, of course. And then when there's somebody here saying something different to what their doctors are saying, it's very hard to say, okay, I'm not going to listen to my doctor. I'm going to listen to the stranger on the internet that's telling me a natural therapy can help. And that's why these stories are so important for me, because without the credentials of a doctor, I have only the credentials of what my clients are showing. So thank you.
Yeah, like doctors really had their fair share of time with me. They really had 25 years, and everything just they didn't even manage to with the symptoms. And so that's why I say, okay, what do I have to lose?
Yeah. It's a completely different approach, and you have to be ready for it. And you were ready to take the leap and trust in the process. So yeah, well done. Congratulations.
Thanks for everything, Mireille.
Thank you, Lucy. And thanks. I'm wishing you all the best for a very happy life.